The world has seen the horrible time of First World War, and after that it was very significant, the events which the people went through during the Second World War. It left its deadliest marks on mankind.
The International Military Tribunal for the Far East, also known as the Tokyo Trial, was a military trial begun on April 29, 1946 to try leaders of the Empire of Japan for crimes against peace, conventional war crimes, and crimes against humanity leading up to and during the Second World War. It was modeled after the International Military Tribunal formed several months earlier in Germany to prosecute senior officials of Nazi Germany. Following Japan's defeat and the occupation by the Allies, the Supreme Commander of the Allied Powers, United States General Douglas MacArthur, issued a special proclamation establishing the court for the trials. A charter was drafted to establish the court's composition, jurisdiction, procedures. The crimes were defined based on trials held in Germany. The Tokyo War Crimes Tribunal was composed of judges, prosecutors, and staff from 11 countries that had fought against Japan: Australia, Canada, China, France, British India, the Netherlands, New Zealand, the Philippines, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The defense comprised Japanese and American lawyers. The Tokyo trials exercised a broader jurisdiction, beginning from the 1931 Japanese invasion of Manchuria. 28 high-ranking Japanese military and political leaders were tried by the court, including current and former prime ministers, foreign ministers, and military commanders. They were charged with 55 separate charges, including waging aggressive war, murders, and various other war crimes. The Allies established three broad categories. Class A charges alleging crimes against peace were to be brought against Japan's top leaders who had planned and directed the war. Class B and Class C charges could be leveled at the Japanese of any rank, covered conventional war crimes and crimes against humanity, respectively. On the other hand, the defense challenged, arguing that the crime against peace, and more specifically the undefined concepts of conspiracy and aggressive war, had yet to be established as crimes in international laws. The defense attacked the notion of negative criminality, by which the defendants were to be tried for failing to prevent breaches of law and war crimes by others, as likewise having no basis in international law. The former Japanese foreign minister during the court proceedings also stated that Japan had no choice but to enter into the war for self-defense purposes. He asserted that they felt at that time that Japan was being driven either to war or suicide. However, at the end, on September 9th, 1947, the tribunal spent 15 months reaching judgment and drafting its 1781-page opinion. The reading of the judgment and the sentences lasted from December 4th till 12th of 1948. 7 defendants were sentenced to death by hanging, including former Premier Hideki Tojo. 16 defendants were sentenced to life imprisonment. However, interestingly, the Indian judge from Kolkata, Justice Radhabinod Pal, presented a report of dissent, and among all the judges of the tribunal, he was the only one who submitted a judgment which insisted all defendants were not guilty. In his report, he also challenged even the legitimacy of the tribunal and its rulings. He argued that the United States had clearly provoked the war with Japan and expected Japan to act. In his lone dissent, Justice Pal refers to the trial as a sham employment of legal process for the satisfaction of a thirst for revenge. While he fully acknowledged Japan's war atrocities, he said these were covered in the Class B and Class C trials. Furthermore, he believed that the exclusion of Western colonialism and the use of the atom bomb by the United States from the list of crimes, as well as the exclusion of judges from the vanquished nations on the bench, signifies the failure of the tribunal to provide anything other than the opportunity for the victors to retaliate. The end of the US occupation of Japan in 1952 also lifted a ban on the publication of Justice Pal's 1235-page dissent report, which Japanese patriots used as the basis of the argument that the Tokyo trials were biased.